Welcome to the Popish Plot. I'm Nate.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Mike.
Today, on the Popish Plot, we will be having another installment of our Defense of the Defendant, where we talk about an essay that G.K. Chesterton once wrote that was then compiled into a book, The Defendant.
Today, we are talking about baby worship.
That's right, straight, cold idolatry is being defended right here.
Not quite, but you're also not entirely wrong.
Fair.
So, Nate, why do you worship babies?
Is this a trick question? I don't believe I do.
What are your thoughts on the defense of baby worship?
I very much enjoyed it. It took me a few paragraphs to really get into what it was that he was trying to get at here. Mm-hmm. But I then understood it. Or at least I think I did. And my book closed on me. That won't help me. There was a quote that he made about this is baby worship. Okay. When we reverence anything in the mature, mm-hmm. it is their virtues or their wisdom, mm-hmm. and this is an easy matter. But when we reverence the faults and follies of children, the basic point that he was making is that generally when we're looking at grown-up people, we mm-hmm. only see them for the good that they do. We only see the good in the good that they do. Whereas with babies, we look at the good that they do and their successes and their failures, and we both think, oh, isn't that adorable? Mm-hmm. He's trying to say, Daddy.
We have a tolerance and a generosity towards babies that we don't have towards grown-ups.
Exactly.
And this reflects a fundamental lack of charity on our part toward our fellow grown-ups.
Well, and at the same time, there was a quote that he made later on in the essay. No, it was here somewhere.
If we only adopted the same attitude towards premiers and chancellors of the exchequer, if we genially encouraged their stammering and delightful attempts at human speech, we should be in a far more wise and tolerant temper.
There was that, but the one I also liked was, if we only treated all commercial buccaneers and bumptious tyrants on the same terms, if we gently chided their brutalities as rather quaint mistakes in the conduct of life, if we simply told them that they would understand when they were older, we should probably be adopting the best and most crushing attitude towards the weakness of humanity. I mean, just imagine if when Donald Trump went and did something that was maybe a little
coarse,
unadvisable.
Yeah.
If instead of it, everybody now gets all venomous, and if instead we all went and started tweeting, "Oh, honey, that's so sweet. Don't worry. When you're bigger, you'll understand." Think of how much more effect that would probably have. Mm-hmm. Because he's already used to everybody wanting to be pissed off at him. But if they came back and said, "Oh, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. It's okay. You'll do better next time."
The truth is that our attitude towards children, it is our attitude towards children that is right, and our attitude towards grown-up people that is wrong.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. The essential rectitude of our view of children lies in the fact that we feel them and their ways to be supernatural, while for some mysterious reason we do not feel ourselves or our own ways to be supernatural. When we behold babies, we behold them with wonder. I remember when I first met my oldest nephew, and I can't believe he's about to turn 10, but when I first met him, he was 4 days old.
Yeah.
Which means he wasn't even cute yet.
No.
He was still discolored and he was half folded over. Mm. He was completely useless.
That ugly little wrinkle ball.
And yet, as soon as I saw him, I was astonished by him. And I knew that I would visit unspeakable violence on anyone who tried to harm him.
Exactly.
I don't feel the same way when I behold some of our fellow parishioners. They'll say something really obnoxious, and my immediate attitude is not, "Aw, what a delightful child of God." It should be, but it's not.
Yeah.
Because it is our attitude towards babies that is right, and our attitude toward grown-ups that is wrong. Because even the most obnoxious of us, we have a good buddy, Denny.
Yes.
He's always saying that God regards us much the same way as we regard small children.
Mm-hmm.
He looks at our terrible mistakes and goes, "Aw, aren't they cute?"
How could you not love them?
And yet, we don't regard ourselves with the same kind of charity. We somehow expect perfection of each other and condemnation for our mistakes.
Exactly.
Instead of, well, they're trying. Adorable little idiots. So, Jess, you're the mother here. What are your thoughts on baby worship?
Oh, well,
Yes, that's right. I don't want her to speak as an individual, simply as a mother.
I was going to say that reading this, you know how there are some people who can spend years teaching and giving talks, and there's every single talk is the same talk,
Yes.
no matter what subject is.
Yes.
Because it's the core,
Yes.
sometimes they're great. Sometimes it's like, my whole point of doing talks is about how God is merciful by telling my story, and it's
Yes.
awesome. And sometimes it's like, I've heard this 20 times.
And it's like, it starts off different, but then eventually it still gets to the same core anecdote, and you're like, you tricked me!
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is one of, although Chesterton wrote a ton of things,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is one of his, circling around to his core message.
Mm-hmm.
From the line towards the beginning about the fascinations of children lie in this, that with each of them all things are remade and the universe is put again on its trial.
Mm-hmm.
Because a major theme of his seems to be that we're all old and boring, but God is ever new and young and, like a small child compared to us.
Well, let's just go back one essay to slang.
Yeah.
The slang is ever new, whereas our standardized speech is boring and lifeless.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If there is a dominant theme in The Defendant, it is a defense of wonder.
Yes.
And the fact that most of us have such a limited view of the world. Even when we're trying to be good and faithful disciples of Christ, we view the world as this dull, flat thing. And he's always urging us, often in hyperbolic terms, to find the wonder.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. So on this one, this is something that almost everyone wonders in.
Mm-hmm.
You see a baby. Yeah.
But there are a few people that don't possess that wonder.
Yeah, and there is a few times at 4 a.m. when you haven't got more than 5 minutes sleep that your wonder is wearing pretty thin. But
Sure.
But he was a man back in Victorian era, so he probably never had to deal with that.
And they never had children.
Ah, did not know that offhand.
Well,
Still, definitely as an uncle, he would not have to change 4 diapers in their lifetime.
that's 4 too many. Being an uncle is, again, awesome.
So I think that's about it.
We've exhausted the wonder of baby worship?
Oh, no, we have not exhausted the wonder of baby worship, but we are leaving some of that wonder out
For
there
them.
for our viewers to discover. So go down below into the comment section and tell us about the wonder of babies and baby worship that you have discovered, or how how this essay has touched you.
It is an extremely lamentable trend in our society that often people, instead of considering the wonder of babies, now just say, "Oh, have you seen the statistics on how much it'll cost to raise one? I don't want to have kids." They're forgetting. Baby worship, man. Baby worship.
Don't look at them as a bill. They're far more than a bill.
Yeah.
Even if their name is William.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you did not go to the women's retreat from a couple weekends ago?
That would have been deeply inappropriate, yes.
Yeah. Well, unless
No.
you were giving a talk or something. I mean,
I
there
wouldn't
were
have been.
there were numbers of men there, largely priests, but but there were 2 infants that were so small that they just let them stay, because they were still nursing and stuff. So we all smiled and played and held and stuff with the babies.
That would make a pretty awesome retreat.
Yep.
Actually, I could see it being the whole of a retreat now.
That'd be great. You go on retreat, here's your baby. Hold this, you'll feel better.
Where'd this baby come from? Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about that.
It's okay. We got all the appropriate permissions.
The Popish plot presents the baby retreat.
You took something that was supposed to be awe and you ruined it yet again.
Him! subscribe to our channel,
What
ring
can
the
I say?
church
I'm a
bell,
horrible person.
like this episode, and until next time,
Live your faith.
Love your faith.
share that love.
The two facts which attract almost every normal person to children are, first, that they are very serious, and secondly, that they are, in consequence, very happy.